The worst is when you had that Sunday night Buffalo game and you had morning shots all day and you're holding tight because you're cold and the next day you're sore.
Your whole, like between your shoulder blades is like killing because you've been like this the whole time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I have so been.
It's a physical game covering these games, Chase.
It really
it's a physical situation.
I can tell.
And, well, because, Chase, the thing is, when the camera comes on, you can't act cold because then you look like a wimp, right? So, like, you're like this, holding, and they're like, okay, coming to you in 5. And you're like.
Next day I wake up, I'm like, did I play? Like, my whole body hurts.
I know. I might as well at this point.
Y'all are funny.
It's a Monday. Welcome into Scoop City, presented by eBay. I'm James Palmer, alongside Chase Daniel, alongside Dianna Russini. We have a lot for you on this Monday as we have our resident quarterback with us. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. How's everybody doing? How was their Sunday of football watching?
Well, good, I guess.
I was just actually thinking about how I spent so much time Googling turf toe. Yeah. Because I don't like the name. I would like it to be something that sounds scarier than a turf toe, right?
Yeah.
So,
the big toe. It was my wife's birthday yesterday, so I didn't watch a lot of football, but the games I did watch were really good.
What a good husband. You missed football for a birthday?
I had my phone out at lunch and at dinner, and she was like,
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I did the same thing. I somehow, in the middle of the afternoon, was told by my wife that we're going to see our friends, my son's friend, who's in school with him, and my buddy, who's his dad. We're both in The Sound of Music. My buddy, who's never acted before, played Captain Van Trapp. I picked the last row so I could watch the Eagles Chiefs game going like this, just like listening to The Sound of Music and watching at the same time. I rewatched it. I was up late.
Am I the only dork that sat in front of my TV all day? Jeez.
No, that's not dork. That's what I wanted to do.
That's not dork. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The wives are not as really, we got stuff to do.
That's what I wanted to do, was watch football. And listen, we're going to still bring you everything about football. Today we're going to talk about CalebWilliams. Chase is going to tell us if maybe some of these things are correctable or what kind of spot we're in with the second-year quarterback in Chicago. But speaking of quarterbacks, Dak Prescott has been balling. Chase is going to break that down for you, but we also stick with the position, and this one on the negative side of things, and Joe Burrow and that turf toe that Diana's been spending all of her hours Googling and figuring out what our timetable is. We're going to start with that. So this is what we're hearing. Dianna, where are
Diana's
we?
Hearing.
Yeah, then we'll follow. Where are we with Joe Burrow? What is the timetable? Where are we at with the dreaded, misnamed turf toe?
Yes. All right. So Joe Burrow has elected to get the surgery, which is essentially going to put him out for minimum 3 months, all depending on how the recovery goes. And Chase, tell me if you agree with this. I had somebody in the league explain it to me this way. He was like, look at turf toe almost like it's like the big toe of your foot is like the knee of your foot, meaning it has all those ligaments and all those things that are in your knee. Your big toe has too. So unfortunately for Burrow, he tore a bunch of those ligaments in there, not just one, multiple. So that is why the surgery is required, because there's also a lot of pain that goes in with that. And obviously you can't play the quarterback position if you can't put all your weight on your foot, which, as we saw, he couldn't even put his foot down. He was struggling, when he was, hopping back to the locker room. So Chase, is that exactly how you understand it?
It is. And I'm with you. Like when you're not a football player or maybe an athletic trainer, and you just hear the word, like the casual fan hears the word turf toe, you're like, he stumped his toe on the turf and
get out there.
He's good. He's fine. It's just, and I've been on some teams with guys who've had it. And even like the first time I heard it, like as I'm playing, I'm like, bro, like just shoot it up and get back out there. Yeah. It's really the stabilizer of your foot. And especially a position such as like quarterback or receiver, where you're constantly pushing off of it or bracing it for like climbing up in the pocket, if it's his right foot or left foot. Like every one of those, I went through every scenario in my head. And it's one of those things where turf toe is like, you see Dion, Like Deion Sanders has been dealing with big toes like forever. And he almost had to have his feet
stay appropriate
and like toes amputated. And like, so like, this is not that situation, but it's literally like, it is all the ligaments, like you had said, Diana, that just like come loose. And I would say the one thing that people don't talk about is the pain tolerance. Like, it's not something you can just like go out there and play. I've heard, and I haven't had it, it's one of the most painful injuries you can have. And so when he got surgery and it was already out there that he's getting surgery, I'm like, man, it must be way worse than we think. And then getting in front of it will allow it to heal. And I've had people not get surgery and I've seen people not get surgery on it. And it just doesn't heal because you're always on your foot. You're always on your feet. So I think this is the smart way to do it, to get to a place where, hey, if they are in playoff contention, like maybe he can come back. The way I read it, I'm like, dude, if they're not in the playoff, like there's no way the dude's coming back this year. Like, it's just like, and that's hard to say for Cincinnati Bengals fans because you say it's 3 months, but dude, it's a major, major injury.
Yeah. Remember Justin Herbert had it last year? Remember?
Yeah.
That's where we dove into it last year as well. So, and he played through it, right? I think he's the example of where, but remember,
because there's different grades, right, Diana, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Brock Purdy is dealing with turf toe as well, but it's a lower grade injury. He doesn't
Does that just mean you tear less ligaments in it?
That's
right?
exactly what it is.
Okay.
Right? So apparently Brock's, he doesn't have multiple ligament tears. He just has one, whereas Joe Burrow has multiple, which is why we saw him in such great pain. So obviously, I agree with you. This is going to be a tough return. I don't doubt him. He's going to try to want to be out there, but obviously you look at the injuries just continue to pile up year after year for Joe Burrow, and you got to feel for them.
But if you're Bengals fans, first of all, you start 2-0. Like, it's been so much made about the starts that the Cincinnati Bengals this past year's, like 1-9 in the last like 5 years or whatever in the first 2 games of the year. Now they're 2-0 and they haven't played great, but you lose. Dude, you lose your guy. Like, do we call him? And I'm not just saying this. Like, do people call him injury prone? Like he's missed the playoffs in back-to-back years, right, James? And then like.
Yeah, let's go through it. I mean, it's the rookie year he has the ACL, right? Comes back the next year he's an All-Pro and wins Comeback Player of the Year. Then in 2023 he has the wrist, which knocks him out, and he comes back the next year and wins Comeback Player of the Year, and he's an All-Pro. It's not like he doesn't bounce back from these things. He comes back and plays brilliantly, but he's had 2 season-ending injuries in both of those years, and now he's going to have his 3rd in 6 years. So that term, Chase, you're right, might start creeping into people's minds because it really is the one thing that separates him from the other 3 in what we call kind of the big 4 in the NFL.
Yeah, the big 4. Well, and to your point, James, it's like he's the top 4, like bona fide top 4 quarterback. And I would say the way he played last year was probably the best he's ever played. It just didn't translate to wins in pure like stats and throwing the football. It's just hard to think about like, man, like him losing out on another season after the Bengals paid all those guys, right, Diana? And they gave them all they wanted. And even like, and I thought it was dumb, but like the Zach Taylor hot seat talks, right? Like all this stuff, like where does that land now? Because you're playing with I like Jake Browning, right, James and Diane, but like you're playing with a backup and you don't have a good enough squad.
Well, let's be clear. This entire team has been built around Joe Burrow, which is why they paid the guys that they did, which is why they've been all in on this. Give Joe Burrow what he wants, and we'll win. And he's proven that when you support him and what he wants, they're going to have success. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson actually turned out to be the stud for them yesterday, right? You definitely see why they pay him there. But look, you talk about the Zach Taylor element in all this. I want to see Zach Taylor really have a breakout season as a head coach with Jake Browning, right? Because he comes from that tree of coaches that we respect, that we talk about on the show all the time, the Kevin O'Connells, the Sean McVays, the Kyle Shanahans, the Matt LaFleur's, Raheem Morris. Those guys all come from that same world, the same branch, we'll call it. This is a chance for him to show the type of coach he is, because I don't think the three of us right now could sit here and say, we think that Zach Taylor is a top 10 coach in football. We always say Joe Burrow's a stud. Jamar Chase is a stud. So I just think this is such a great opportunity for Zach to come out here, maybe get through this gauntlet of games that they've got, right? They're facing 5 playoff teams from last season. Come out of this thing maybe on top, and maybe your prayers are answered and Joe can come back. But I just think this to me is a big test.
But how do you do that though? Here's the thing, Dianna, right? Like, the only coach that I've really seen win without a high level quarterback and Darnold, like Kevin O'Connell, right? It's like
Shanahan a bit.
Kyle Shanahan, but yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy, 7th round pick. Those are the only, and those are really the only two. It's just like the squad is not good enough to win and get into the playoffs in the AFC North without like one of the best quarterbacks in football. Like, I know, like, we're not overreacting at all. We're just saying the facts. It's just going to be really difficult for Zach Taylor to do that. I hope he does. Yeah. It's just like the facts of the matter is like, it's just, man, you guys know how much quarterbacks mean.
Yeah. They do, but look at what they have there.
Yeah, no, I got you.
I don't know if it's going to take that much, right? We're watching the Chiefs last night, and it's like, gosh, Patrick would kill to have one of these guys.
Well, let me ask you something. Sorry, James, just this while it's in my head. So, are they going to roll with Browning, or like, are there other guys out there that they think can play at a high level right away? I haven't really checked the free agent market.
There's a healthy Kirk Cousins hanging out there in Atlanta with his helmet on.
I reached out to some people, and I don't get the sense Atlanta's moving Kirk Cousins right now. So
it's become an enjoyable situation.
It's a good thought.
I just remember the offseason when everybody was like, there's no way this is going to coexist here with Michael being the
Jake
guy.
Browning's gone, 4-3 with them. When
he played well. He played well.
70% of his passes when he filled in 2023. Diana's right.
He threw 3 interceptions, yesterday, right?
Yesterday, he threw 3 picks. He did leave him on a game-winning, lengthy drive.
But still won.
But I still look at it to what Diana's saying and what you're saying, Chase, and I think we need to ask this to you before we move on, because we have your skill set here and being someone that's been a backup quarterback and know the job and know what now Jake Browning's going to have to do. They had 4 games last year where they scored more than 30 points and lost 4. Like that, nobody else has done that this season. So we know Joe Burrow struggled with that, right? Playing opposite of this defense a year ago. What does Jake Browning do now, moving forward? What's his process? What is going on in the building as they prepare for him to be the guy? What do you do? In that?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes through your head when the starter goes down mid-game, right? It's like, all right, the first thing is like, man, I haven't got any reps this week at all with the ones. Let me try to do as best I can to like just on a short notice, like just get through the game and win. And he did that. And I applaud him for that. Then really sort of after the game ends, you don't know what's happening with Joe. You don't know the timeline. Then it goes to your head. I'm like, okay, am I going to get another week? All right, well, I think, okay, all right, good. Like, I'm excited. I got to prep. And then all of a sudden you're like 3 months. You're like, oh boy. Okay. So like now you're like, okay, no looking over my shoulder. I'm the guy.
I'm parking in Joe's parking spot.
I'm parking in Joe's parking spot. And then the whole offense sort of switches from what Joe Burrow did well to now we got to be able to run the football. We got to do what Jake Browning does well. We have to play good defense. So from Jake's point of view, he's been in this situation before. I think he started 7 games during that season, like you were saying. So that gives you a little bit of hope if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and the Bengals fan base. At least you've been through this situation. You can look back on all your notes. You can say, hey, what did I do well in my prep for those 7 games? What did I do crappy in those preps? What do I need to change going back? And I'm sure they're having those conversations today. And probably Jake feels a lot better about the situation because, dude, at the end of the day, you got two of the best receivers in football. Like you just can't turn the football over. You're not going to be asked to win games. You can't lose these games.
Yeah. That's why this is an opportunity for Zach Taylor. This is his chance to
come back to your spot.
Quarterback prepared,
You're right.
ready, and to take advantage of an offense that has some studs on this roster that can help them win some games. So I just think this is such a big opportunity for Zach Taylor to go from where we view him right now, right, which is just like in the middle of the pack, to really elevating himself as a head coach in this league by getting the most out of a backup quarterback to pacify these next few weeks to see if Joe Burrow comes back.
It's huge. It's
we
huge.
could talk all day about this.
Hey, Jake Browning's been in this system his entire NFL career, so he knows it. This is where he's been, so we'll see what he can do and what Zach Taylor can do. We talked a lot of quarterbacks, but we want to talk about a couple more. So right now, let's cut to the chase. Oh, did you guys like
Let's go.
That had some aggression to it. We're talking about Chase's team, the Kansas City Chiefs. They've started 0-2. The last time they started 0-2, 2014, Chase, you were on that team.
I was there.
You were there.
Alex Smith, I was there.
You were there. This is rarefied air, though, for Patrick Mahomes. This is not something that he has been through. He's never lost 3 games in a row. If you want to include the Super Bowl from the season ago, this is 3 in a row. This is different. What have you seen from this offense? Is it correctable? Let's start with Chase prior to the return of Rashee Rice. Do they have to wait 6 weeks for this thing to be fixed? Or can they start making some adjustments that you see offensively before that happens? Yeah,
that's a great call. I do think that, speaking with some people within the organization that are really close to the happenings, they sort of have to change who they thought they were going to be coming into the year with the deep ball. And we saw Thornton take that touchdown. And it's really hard to do a 360 right away, right? But no one I trust more than the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid and play caller Matt Nagy, like Patrick Mahomes. And when I say that, they felt really good about their vertical passing attack this year. But they haven't had Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, or Rashee Rice in the 2 years they've had these guys on the field at the same time. Not one snap. And so that really changes the way you're able to call football games. And you saw it yesterday, a completely different game plan, really, than I've seen Andy Reid in a few years. We're going to run the football. Now, Mahomes, I get it, but they had 121 yards rushing. And for me, that's a good sign for the Kansas City Chiefs, even if it is Mahomes. They're not going to separate from people.
For second week in a row.
Yeah, and they're not going to separate from people. And look, you can't have that onus on Mahomes to do that, but he understands, and I think this is the biggest thing, he understands how games are supposed to be won. Like if Kelsey doesn't drop the pass, if they don't have stuff go right, wrong, and different, all this stuff, like I just saw that game yesterday as a complete, we're going to try to keep the ball on the ground. We're not going to try to win it through the air until we have to. And then Mahomes obviously throws that deep pass down the middle, but their defense, it's like, they held Philly to 4 yards of play, and I have these stats, 216 total yards. And you're holding Philly, an explosive offense, to that. So their defense is still like that. Let's just be sure to understand, Steve Spagnuolo. Now, I know the Chargers' first game, they just have to come together as a team. I just saw it was a complete 360, and I just want them to get their guys back. When they get their guys back, receiver-wise, this sounds like an excuse, they're going to be more explosive. And so it's just, though. It is fixable. It is fixable.
Okay. I'll ask you both this. I know they want to be more explosive. You're going to need some time to throw the football if you want to be explosive.
Yeah.
Is left guard still an issue? Right tackle still an issue? Talking to people there, we need both those spots to play a little better. You've seen Trey Smith get beat at times already, Chase. That's one of the highest paid guards in football. They do think Josh Simmons on the left tackle spot has been fine. Been fine so far for a rookie.
He's fast.
But up front, Dianna, that's a part of this equation as well, isn't it?
Look, they don't pass the eye test for me right now, right? And I'm usually in Chase's camp of give it time. The Chiefs are the Chief, but they are an extension of what they were last year, and if they have to remodel this offense here, I have the confidence that this team can do it, especially with Patrick Mahomes' leadership. But you guys kind of blow past the fact that Mahomes' legs are the reason why they're rushing the ball well. I don't think that's good.
were sustainable.
No, it's not
If you remember in
good.
the offseason, I mean, look, it's fine he uses his legs as a threat, but they have no run game. They need, I told you in the offseason that, or at least this summer, that they were in the market for a running back, and they obviously weren't able to get one because we can see that they need help. Now, look, they think that Xavier Worthy is close to getting back. Okay, so that's good news. So that will obviously help the deep threat and some of those explosive plays. But what about Travis Kelce? 2 weeks in a row in the red zone causing problems, whether it's a drop ball or
stop running on the route.
Stop running the route.
Chargers. Yep.
What is it? Are we going to do what we did last year, Chase, where we were like, give him a chance, he'll warm up, or are we going to be a little harder here?
Look, everyone knows, like, physically, I think Travis Kelce does not look the same like he did 2 or 3 years ago, right? And it's very easy to point the finger, and rightfully so, right? Like the first week you run in, and according to him, right, you run into Xavier Worthy, separates the shoulder. He was supposed to set the depth, he didn't, right? Then he stops running on a shallow cross route that he didn't, and then he drops a ball which. Look, he can catch. And even Mahomes was like, hey, I can put it up a little bit higher there. And it's a tough catch. Got to catch it. It's just bad luck. If he makes one of those plays, like we're not having this conversation. And I know he's not. So it's easy to do that. However, he's still like on some of these shallow cross routes yesterday and man-to-man coverage and some of this run after the catch, like he's still got it at times. And that's something that Andy Reid says to older players, especially on like rest days, like, hey, I don't got to see it every single day, but I got to see it a lot of the time. And I've seen those early season, like, hey, he's got it. But it is true. I mean, it's like, hey, one of your best players on the offense is letting you down offensively. Like he should be the leader out there and he should be the ones making those plays. And he wants nothing more than to make those plays, but it's absolutely a fair argument for sure, Dianna.
Let me ask you guys this before we move on what you said, Chase, triggers something in my brain when it says, he can still do it. I don't know if he can do it as consistently as we've seen.
He can.
Which is usually what happens when players get older, right? It's still there. It's just doing it as consistently is the issue. And I think the consistency that he's been able to do it has been what's masked some of these problems over the course of the last several years since Tyreek Hill left, right? It was, we can always rely on Travis and Patrick's magic. We can always rely on that connection. And when I went back and looked at all of these drafts since they traded Tyreek Hill, there's not a lot of capital put towards the skill positions around Patrick Mahomes. It's been to the offensive line. It's been to the defense. And they've tried to patchwork it, right, Chase, with guys like Juju Smith-Schuster or Kadarius Toney comes in, or you try DeAndre Hopkins, or you try MVS. All these different players have come in as complements because you always had Travis Kelce there. So has that kind of masked some of the issues that we just didn't notice with this passing game because you always had Travis?
Well, look, there's no doubt that it has masked it because you do have Travis, but like I'll just go back and everyone knows, like, I'm a huge Brett Veach fan. Like I think he's like, other than Howie, like one of the best GMs.
Like,
no. But my point, I think, is like, if you have Rashee Rice, if you have Hollywood Brown, if you have Xavier Worthy all on the field last year, or even some this year, it just looks way different. Now, injuries and suspensions and off-field stuff, like that's on the players a little, not the injuries, but the off-field stuff. I think if you have those guys, you're taking all the pressure off of Travis Kelce to be perfect, and you're allowing him in spots like third down and red zone to be really good. So if you see those guys on the field, I think it helps Travis Kelce out. But here's the one thing before we move on that I want to like really ask you guys, if you can say on, let's see, October the 12th, after the Lions-Chiefs game, that they're 3-3. Do you feel good about that? Because it wasn't a few years ago that they started 3-3 or similar to that. Because they have gone to the schedule. Like, they got the Giants, they should beat the Giants. Ravens, like, they're playing good. They're playing really good, right? They get them at home, though. Then they Jags, they should beat the Jags. And then Lions. So, like, 2 of these next 4 are going to be really difficult. If they can get to 3-3, like, I would feel really comfortable then, because then you get Rashee Rice back in that process. Then, Xavier Worthy's healthy. Then you get Hollywood Brown on the field. And then I just think you really get into the meat of your schedule. So I'm looking at them like, hey, I don't think it's going to be, hey, they're going to win 4 straight. If you can get to 3-3 and you can feel about like what our identity is on offense. We know what it is on defense. If you can get that, I think you're going to see something similar to a couple years ago.
Okay. Well, 12% of teams since 1990 have made the playoffs after starting 0-2. I think the Chiefs could be one of those handful of teams that actually still find a way to do it, but those are pretty steep odds when you look at the numbers. Sticking with the quarterback position, let's go to maybe the most exciting game of the weekend, everyone, with the Cowboys and the Giants.
Easily the most exciting.
And Dak Prescott, Chase, like, he goes for 361. He's played well in 2 games now, and maybe what this offense can do has been overshadowed and what they were building in camp with the addition of George Pickens and Javonte Williams. How about that run the football? I think he went for 97.
Yeah, he's looked good.
He's looked really good. Is this a different offense than what maybe we were expecting, or is it all just we have a healthy Dak Prescott and we should have expected this?
I don't think offensively anyone would have expected what the Dallas Cowboys have done through 2 games, because you go into Philly and almost win that game, right? And you look at just pure what Dak has put on tape this year. It's looked like 2 years ago where he was second in the MVP voting. And I will say this, like, I don't know if there is a quarterback in the NFL right now that is playing the position of quarterback better than Dak Prescott's playing. Look, the Cowboys aren't a good team. Like, I don't think they're a good team. Like, team-wise, defense is struggling. But if you tell me that you're going to have Dak Prescott playing at the level he's playing and the way he's graded out and what I've seen on film through 2 games, right? Josh Allen, sure, whatever. James, thanks for ruining my thunder. But like Dak Prescott, dude, it's like he's healthy. He looks thinner, but like in a good way. He's really dialed in his diet. And then, like, I don't think it can be talked about enough is the addition of George Pickens, because the one-on-one balls outside, he's playing, I feel like, with a little bit more effort, and he's opening up the inside for CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. And when I watch on tape, that's what I'm seeing. Another thing I'm seeing that I'm sure a lot of you are seeing was when Mike McCarthy was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and the play caller for the Dallas Cowboys, pre-snap motion was not a big thing in Dallas. Now it is. Now you're giving Dak Prescott the answers to the test. Now you're giving him man zone reads. Now you're sort of blitzing the defense. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's over 40% of the time on every snap you're on the game, you're moving somebody pre-snap motion. It's just a way. The offense does look different. Now, I'm not talking about the Cowboys as a team. But if you're just looking at pure quarterback play, man, the way Dak's playing right now has been excellent.
Yeah, Chase, from my very little eye.
Dianna, come on.
I actually have big eyes.
You got a little eye. That's not the saying, Dianna. That's not the saying.
It's so not the saying. What is it?
I spy with my little eye.
I spy fearlessness in the pocket. That's what I almost, I want to say I almost forgot he was like that. And I know that sounds weird, but there's been times where we've had conversations on the show where I don't think we were very sold on Dak, right? And the last 2 games, especially in this one against the Giants, I just saw things in his game that I was like, oh yeah, that's why he's good. That's why he's paid so much money. He's just making plays on his own, but also just standing tough, standing tall, standing big right in that pocket and being patient. And to me, that's just a really good sign. Now, if he could play on the other side of the ball and help this pass rush, they'd have a lot more.
Go 2 ways.
Opportunity. But look, I think we're going to do this all season long. We're going to ask over and over again, does this team miss Micah, right? And I don't think we need to ask. I think we just know. That's the answer. Yes, they do. They're always going, he's that good. So we can probably just tear off that Band-Aid now and just all agree they miss him. And that secondary misses him specifically, because how many times do we see neighbors running by? How do you let the ball go over your head like that? If you're
that's not good. That was awful.
Like
that's a whole nother conversation.
Right? Like communication. Yeah. There's so much to go to that. But to me, that's always going to be the story. As great as Dak can be, he's going to need some help on that defense.
Certainly.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they got a little bit of it. They got the hired assassin who just waits and waits until he signs to another team. Jadeveon Clowney is going to be headed to the Dallas Cowboys, maybe to help that defense a little bit. And Dianna, what you said really triggered something in me. Before the hamstring injury, last year. I remember talking to people in Dallas who were like, after the ankle, like it took him a minute to feel very confident and have the confidence you're talking about, not inside the pocket, but outside the pocket. When he broke the pocket and moved, which he moves better than probably people give him credit for, he was, always had it in the back of his mind. That happens with a lot of players with injuries. And I think what you're seeing is a guy that's just very confident in his legs. You saw the hammy, he looked great scrambling down the middle of the field. Yeah. And so like he is playing with a whole boatload of confidence in a run game that has a really interesting scheme to it, I think. And they're going 4.8 yards a carry with Javonte Williams. It's not bad. It might be fun to watch, guys. It might be actually fun to watch Dak operate this offense. How about the guy on the other side? We've been watching him each and every week in Russell Wilson. Did he buy himself some time when he goes out there, and let me see where it's at. What did he throw for? Like 1,000 yards.
Career high.
Career high. Last time the Giants
464.
Pat Shurmur was the coach.
I mean, is this a moment to where Brian Daboll and company, penalties aside, discipline issues aside, that maybe this is a positive, that we are going to keep this guy as our quarterback right now and fend off Jackson Dart, who did see the field, by the way, in this game.
Yeah.
Was a bit
and
odd.
We've been talking about that, too, about how they were going to feature Jackson at some point here and get him in the mix here, someone that runs a similar offense to Russell Wilson. But look, they understand, and look, Russell Wilson does, too, that Jackson Dart is ready, right? Like they want to put him out there, but they don't want to rush it either. If they can get the most out of Russell Wilson and he can get them some wins, and they think maybe in some practices, just because of his experience and his knowledge of the game, he may have the slight edge on this. They want that to work. I just think it was important for Russell to play well yesterday for the whole situation. And Russell addressed it. He even said it, like he's been blocking out the noise. He knows what we're doing. We're all saying it.
He's good at that, though.
Right? Like, that the organization wants the young rookie to come in there and light it up. So credit to him for stepping up. And I just think that actually, outside the things that you just said, James, in terms of the issues of this Giants team defense, I just think that they came ready to play. That's what I liked in the Giants. Like, that's what made me, even though they're 0-2, they don't feel it to me. And maybe I'm giving them too much credit because I want to see some success here, but I like that. I like that Russell came in and get scared off by all this.
Yeah. I mean, I can go both ways. I can see both ways of this Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart. Like, did he buy more time? Sure. Like, what's your record? You're 0-2. And look, this is nothing to do with Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson, and I even said it to my wife, actually, as we were watching this at lunch. I'm like, and Russell's literally my neighbor. It's like, I don't know if Russell's had a better game as a pro, like throwing the football down the field than against Dallas. And I don't know yet, because it's way too early to tell. We're not going to overreact, even though I love overreacting. I don't know if that's because Russ has looked that good, which he had, or if it's because of the Dallas Cowboys defense. It's hard to understand because Russ didn't look great in week 1. So, yeah, I mean, sure, you bought him more time. I don't think they're going to make some change. Do I still think he's before Halloween? I'm going to win our bet on this show? Absolutely. I think Jackson Dart's going to play, but you have to win. I still don't know, Dianna, because you only played Russ 10. If they're not winning with Russ, does Brian Daboll have a job at the end? If they're not winning, we were talking about this situation. So, I don't know. I still think Jackson Dart probably going to play. I do think it's an interesting dynamic because you have to show hope. And that's what I've been saying this whole time. Now, they showed hope, but they still are 0-2. They feel 0-2 to me because they're 0-2, right? I know Diana's saying it because she's up there in New York and all that stuff, and it feels different, but they're still 0-2. Yeah, and their schedule does not get any easier.
No. And you want to make sure you're selling the correct hope, Chase. I'm not sure if this is even the correct hope.
Come on right now. That's a great way to put it.
What you're looking at. All right. We got more coming up on Scoop City presented by eBay. We have our Sunday Scaries. Kind of a Halloween theme, as Chase brought up, Halloween. Is Russ a trick-or-treater in your neighborhood? Is the family out there? Did they come to your door?
I did see Russ trick-or-treating 2 years ago with Sierra in a neighborhood that we actually went. I actually did see that. That was so random.
What was he?
Wow. He was dressed in all black. I don't know. Boogeyman. Something else.
The Boogity Man? Okay. Anyway, that's a Seinfeld reference. Okay, more Scoop City presented by eBay coming up. Welcome back to Scoop City, presented by eBay on a Monday. James Palmer, Dianna Russini, Chase Daniel with you, and it is the Sunday Scaries. We do this every single Monday, the three of us. And this is one that maybe the entire Chicago area might be feeling, Chase, as well. We got 2 weeks of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson together. Everybody in South Chicago, on the north side, on the south side, they're all wondering, are we seeing any progress? Are we seeing any development as the Bears now fall to 0-2? Caleb Williams goes 19 of 30 for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns a pick. What are we seeing in the development? Should this be a Sunday scary, or could this turn into something, I don't know, the mask comes off and hooray, it's not so scary anymore?
Yeah, I think it's Sunday scary right now. I mean, they're 0-2. They have a really good roster, and we felt like, at least when I say we, I felt like they were going to be better in a really, probably the toughest division in football in the North, right? And when you just look at quarterback play, even from last week, not even this past game, Caleb was really good on the first drive, okay on the second drive, and then really struggled with accuracy issues in the second half. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's first game with new offensive coordinator, with new play caller and head coach. And then you just look at this next game. They got their butts whipped. Like it was a butt whooping, and there's really no way around it. Like I've been in facilities and I've been in quarterback rooms and team meetings the next day after you just get your butt handed to you, and there's just no way you can feel good about what anyone put on tape. Like I thought Rome Odunze played well, and that's about it. Like I thought Rome played well. Like I don't think that offensive line is where it should be. I don't know
DeAndre Swift
if
is good.
DeAndre Swift is good, but had a fumble, right? Like, and I think that when you look at Caleb and Ben, like there's going to be some growing pains. I would have least liked them to win a game.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too crazy, Dianna, and be like, hey, like we've seen head coaches, that call plays that come into because you do have to understand as a head coach that calls plays, that you have to really focus on the entire team. And right now the entire team, man, they're not playing well.
Yeah, like Matt Eberflus never allowed 50 points in a game, and it always felt like that was a disaster, right? But they never allowed that as a defense. So all parts of the Chicago Bears need to take a hard look at themselves and make these improvements. I think it's easy for us to just say Caleb because I think all eyes are on him right now.
Good point.
Because we want to see that improvement. And look, he is talented. He's athletic. He has these flashes of it, right? But it's obviously not there yet. And I think that there is a mystery to Ben Johnson, and I think that's allowing the hype to feel bigger than really what the product is, right? Because we're like, what is this? Could this be this idea that he's going to be what he was in Detroit? I think we should probably call it right now. Ben Johnson's offense is not going to look like what it did in Detroit for a while. They have
different pieces. Yeah.
Right. But like you mentioned that you thought it would be better. I was guilty of that too. And when I started to think about it, it was, were we giving Ben Johnson too much
Why are you
credit?
making so much sense right now?
Well, I had 2 cups of coffee
Stop
today.
it. You stop it.
Super smart cups of coffee.
So,
Great point, Dianna.
It's the idea of what it is, I think, rather than probably the reality. He needs time. Caleb needs time. This offense needs time. You keep talking about this roster being fantastic. Yes, they have had really high draft picks. But when you start really digging on this rebuild that Chicago's been under for the last few years, I wouldn't call them a great roster. When we think great rosters, it was the team they played. It was the Philadelphia Eagles. It's even
Ravens.
Great. That's a great.
Lions, yeah.
But yeah, I would say the only pushback a little bit to that, Dianna, is just like we thought there was all this growth and we thought there was all this in training camp. Look, it's only 2 weeks, right? Like, calm down. And I think this is probably coming from a fan's perspective because I want Chicago to do well. I played with them. It's just the frustration level from not even getting a win. And I know it's early in the season, and James had this crazy stat about 0-2 teams. Like,
It's not crazy.
You would
It's a
like
fact.
for them
It's a
to.
statistic.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like a.
Oh, I thought you were calling me crazy. I get very sensitive on Mondays. Go ahead.
Crazy. But it's the frustration level, because there was this renewed hope. There was, like, you're paying Ben Johnson 15 something million bucks, and I just don't think right now he's done a great job of really managing the whole team. And it's early, and we're not overreacting. But when you look at,
we can call it without crushing him too.
Yeah. And then when you look at Caleb, I think that's the biggest thing more than Ben. It's the Caleb stuff, because that's Dianna, you said it. There have been flashes, and the flashes have been really good. Like not great, but really good, better than last year. And it's just like, why can't you put a whole game together of that? Or why can't you put 2 straight quarters of that? And look, it's early and they're still figuring out what they like and all this stuff. And I get that.
Yeah.
I just think that's the frustration level.
And Detroit came in, they're pissed off again about that Packers game too, right? So there's a little bit of that element. 511 yards of offense. They had 720+ yard plays.
And they pulled everybody.
They were smoking out there. Which also tells you Green Bay's probably really good, by the way.
Yeah, very, very good.
But that being said, I do think it was, yes, Detroit came to play, but more concern for what the Chicago Bears team is going to do next against the New York Giants, right? They've got the Dallas Cowboys they have next. Good.
Dianna, I think you're spot on, because to me, is the entire league of executives, general managers, and owners insane? Because they all wanted Ben Johnson. They were all trying to court him. They were all trying to get him. Are they all wrong? Like, I don't see that being the case, right?
Yeah.
I don't see that being the case. The other side of it that does perplex me a little bit is he's been waiting for the right spot for a couple of years now, right? But at the same time, that's a few seasons where we've heard that he's been preparing to make sure that he can find the balance between being a play caller and a head coach. He's been preparing for several years to be a head coach. Again, there's no substitute for actually doing it and having to do it and having to pick your staff. I've talked to a number of guys who have, Chase, in their first year as a head coach, and they talk about, man, I didn't pick the right staff. I don't know what I need around me until I go out and have to do it. There's all these things Ben is trying to learn on the fly and trying to really fix a quarterback. And that's what I want to ask you, Chase. Was last year, in my opinion, possibly a step backwards for Caleb Williams because of the situation? Is there more for Ben Johnson to fix and deal with because of last year, or it's just erase it? No bad habits were created, nothing negative happened. I'm just curious if that plays a part in everything they're working with to try to build this thing and build this thing the right way.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was no doubt Caleb took a step back last year. I mean, he's had 3 different play callers in like 7 months. He's experienced
speed
head
dating
coach getting
play
fired
callers.
in the middle of the year. He's experienced all sorts of stuff in his rookie year, and he's experienced not knowing how to study film, and he's experienced all this stuff. Yeah, there's scars. Absolutely. And so, it's probably not fair for us or me. I mean, y'all are pretty level-headed. I was the one that wasn't. But it's probably not fair for us to say, hey, can all those scars be erased in 2 games? And the answer is absolutely not. But he is a very talented quarterback, and Ben Johnson was the most courted head coach in recent years. And it's a results-based business, and there have not been any results.
Ben Johnson is my greatest example of why playing hard to get works, because it doesn't even matter if you're that great. If you just play the game a little well, then
coaches' contracts are all guaranteed.
Everyone is in, right? Because he did it so well. And by the way, I am not out on Ben Johnson. I've heard so many great things about him. So I think the show can agree. That. They just need some time.
They need some time. Exactly. Well, there's a group that's been together for a minute now, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Man, there are veterans on that side of the ball, and man, do they have a reputation for being really the staple of how football's played in Pittsburgh. But they have now given up 394 yards in week 1, 395 yards now here in week 2. They're 1-1. I think this is a Sunday scary, Chase, that this unit needs to fix some things. And it's not just these first 2 weeks. It dates back to last season.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It was like, yeah, absolutely. It's a Sunday scary. I mean, look at the offenses you face. No offense to the Seahawks and Jets, but you're giving up almost 400 yards a game and 31 and a half points per game. You still got to face the Ravens twice, the Bengals twice, Bills, Lions, Packers. Like, you better fix it and fix it fast, because for all the stuff and noteworthiness of the offseason and how we covered Aaron Rodgers, like, Aaron's looked good. Like, he hasn't looked bad. That's for sure. He's looked better than he has last year. Yeah, but still, he's looked good. He's looked good. Like, you would say if Rodgers, just stat wise and on film, what he's put out there, like, they should win these games. And the steel curtain is no longer. Like, they have an older defense. You know it's bad a little bit when Jalen Ramsey comes over and he moves the safety to some slot corner. He's not playing just pure outside corner, and he's the best player in the defense right now. Like, obviously Watt, right? But like, that's not what you want. Like, that's not what you want to have happen. And Sam Darnold, I mean, came in and just sort of sliced them up. Like, it's just it's tough because and we probably should have been on it. And I know Dianna was on it, and James, you were probably on it too. It's like, all right, like, Russ played well to start the season last year, so did the defense, and the defense completely tanked the last 10 games of the year, 8 games of the year, and it just has. It seems to be a pattern. That's the thing. Like, I don't know how you fix it, because that's what the Steelers for so long have been built on, is run game and defense. Like, I think Jaylen Warren's playing great. Like, sure, DK Metcalf's doing good. Like, but the defensive side of the football, yeah, that was insane. The defense side of the football is just not there, man.
Yeah, I don't think their run game is as good as you may be giving them credit for.
I said Jaylen Warren. I didn't say run game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I think the things that we think of the Steelers, it's an automatic good defense, good ground game, and just doesn't seem to be there right now. And Aaron Rodgers is also getting smacked around a lot. Like, he's 41. He's getting hit too much. Like, that's going to be a problem. Who's their backup in Pittsburgh?
Mason Rudolph.
I forgot he's still there.
He's still
Mason
there. Mason Rudolph. Yeah, it's really, because I hinted at it, and I just wanted to put some more context to it. I covered a couple of these games down the stretch. I was at their playoff game against Baltimore. In 3 of their last 6 games, they gave up over 28 points. They were giving up over 380 yards a game over the final 4. And Chase, you know this. They tied for the NFL lead in forcing turnovers last year. That can mask a lot of issues that you're having as a defensive unit when you can force a boatload of turnovers. And there's something that doesn't happen year in and year out. It's a hard thing to remain consistent with. And they thought, I was told, that maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick was part of this. Maybe he has aged a little bit. He wasn't dominating the middle of the defense the way they thought. And so they made this switch, and Jalen Ramsey's been playing well, but TJ Watt doesn't have a sack, and they're struggling to kind of find some ways to be effective as a defense. And I think this is actually a legitimate concern when we look at what happened at the end of last year, and that it hasn't changed coming into this year. Yeah. And you look at both the teams that they played. Look at the way the Jets and the Seahawks played in their other game offensively. They didn't put up those numbers like they did against the Steelers. So this is definitely a major concern and a major Sunday scary. All right, we have one more block coming up on Scoop City, presented by eBay on a Monday. We're going to talk about teams that are 2-0 and maybe some teams that are 0-2. How much confidence do we have in both? We'll find out next. We close out Scoop City, presented by eBay on a Monday. James Palmer, Dianna Russini, and Chase Daniel with you. Let's get right back to it, guys. We are 2 weeks in. I gave a very crazy stat in Chase's mind that about 12% of teams that start 0-2 make the postseason, but some have done it in recent memory, and those has to date back to 1990. Let's break down a team that is 2-0, but we think is maybe froyo, maybe a bit fraudulent. Everybody give me your team that's 2-0 that you just have not been sold on just yet. Dianna?
We're doing both. Okay.
Do both. Okay, I'll go first. All right. I think the San Francisco 49ers are 2-0. By the way, shout out Spencer Rattler. What a gamer. I
played well.
I thought he did really well.
No, he did.
I like the Saints' effort. Like, they're competing out there. I know they're not very good.
But that's a good sign of a head coach, right, Dianna? Like that Kellen's putting his mark on it quickly.
So my first thought was just that when I was watching the game, but more importantly, in regards to what we're talking here, for the 49ers, look, they got by Seattle, and it was ugly against New Orleans when it probably should have been a little easier, knowing that they are the better team. But that being said, of course, Brock Purdy's not in. We'll see if he'll be able to get back. They're hoping maybe miss one more game and then return of Brock Purdy. So that's good news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay, I know. I think there's a lot of chatter.
So you're saying Joe Burrow's weak and Brock Purdy's being able to get over this turf toe just like that. Joe Burrow's not I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. No, they definitely have more optimism about Brock returning sooner than obviously Joe Burrow. Geez. So I look, I love the Mac Jones, Kyle Shanahan idea, right? I think with George Kittle out, they're just going to be asking a lot of him to get them through this over the next few weeks. So I think they're a little fraudulent at 2-0. I don't think they're that good. But we'll see. I'm not rooting against them. I'm just calling it how it is.
Okay. Chase, do you have a 2-0 team, or do you want to give me an 0-2 team?
I'll give you. I'll start 2-0. It'll be quick. I mean, it's Cincy. It's Cincy because of the quarterback situation. It's unfortunate. Like, and still, like, I think it's really good that they got over the slow starts. I think playing in the preseason actually really helped them. I think there's a correlation to that, right? That was made of a lot of Zach Taylor, and like Dianna said, it's we're going to look back on this season. I really just don't think Joe Burrow plays unless they're in playoff contention. Like, I just don't think it's worth it. Turf toe's nothing to mess with, but I do think you're going to look back on this season. And yes, we're going to talk about Joe Burrow being injury prone, but we're really going to talk about how Zach Taylor held this team together without his star quarterback.
I like that. I'm going to go with kind of a team I've been a big supporter of, so this is kind of contradictory. I've kind of been a Cardinals fan on here, guys, since we started the season, and they're 2-0.
I'm a big Kyler fan.
But the Cardinals have beaten the Saints and the Panthers in their first 2 weeks. They now have the Niners and the Seahawks in the next 2 weeks, so we'll see where they are after 4 weeks. I just think the division's tough. I like all the teams in the division. I just think not having a way to really find it. I thought maybe week 1 was a building block for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray, and it just kind of wasn't. I like this team. I like where they're going. I just don't know if, with the division, I'm not sure. Could be tough. All right, an 0-2 team, Dianna, that you have some faith of turning it around.
Yeah, I was yelling from the couch on Sunday. I love him, and it was Cam Ward. He had some tremendous moments. Again, not talked about enough because he's not playing in a big city. He's not even playing on a very good team. But I do think that he is good enough to get this Titans team into the win column here over the next few weeks. I still think they're in transition. They're still trying to sort itself out. We're giving everyone else this patience meter, so to speak. We need to give them a little patience here to come up with this. So I've got some belief in Tennessee. They were really fun to watch. I know they didn't win the game against the Rams, but they were pretty competitive until, of course, Sean McVay does what he does best, which is make those great adjustments. Once he figures out what the heck he's seeing there, he sorts it all out. But I love Cam Ward.
That was unbelievable. His first touchdown pass ever.
Cross the the body, cross the field. That they teach you to do that, right, Chase? They never say don't throw across your body across the field. They never say that. They encourage it. Yeah,
they definitely want you to do that, no doubt.
That was outstanding. All right, you got an 0-2 you like, Chase. I think I know who you might like.
The Chiefs is the Chiefs, man. Let's go. It's the Chiefs. Like, look, I have faith in my guys. Like, I was part of the last 0-2 team, but we didn't make the playoffs. But they have Patrick Mahomes, and look, I just think it's funny. Like during the game too, like there's all this stuff on Twitter and X and back and forth and social media, and we got a really good angle of the tush push, and we got a really good angle of the Eagles consistently false starting on the tush push. And it's just like, okay, well, the refs aren't always out to get the Chiefs because they didn't call anything on that. And there was a massive, I think there was 3 or 4 tush pushes in that game, maybe 4 or 5. Like
there were 7. There were 7 tush pushes.
See, I don't even know that.
Game.
See, and it's just, I just think it's funny. Like the Chiefs, the refs aren't on the Chiefs side because they didn't call it right there. So I just want to make sure that's clear. But I do think they're going to get it together when I do think they're going to get it together. See how I did it in the C block, not in the A block, so we can't really talk about it because we got to move. I just think the Chiefs will be fine.
The Chiefs will be fine. Like Chase goes out on a limb to pick the team that the last 7 years has gone to the AFC Championship game. That they should be fine.
Always takes those big risks, Chase.
Big risk. I'm going to take a big risk right here. Ready? This is my big risk, real quick. I'm going to say the Chicago Bears. I'm going to say Ben Johnson's smart enough to start figuring this thing out by the singer. I'm not saying they're making the postseason. I'm not saying they're going to turn everything around. I think by the end of the year, we are going to say this was the right coach and this is the right quarterback. I think I'd like
hard to
that
get. You're a sucker for it.
And I think that is fine. That's enough. That's enough in year one. But I didn't want to pick, The Chiefs. All right. Chase says we have to go. So we're going to boogie here on a Monday. See you guys Wednesday and Thursday this week. Chase will be back again on a Monday. He's got to catch a flight. Chase, where are you going, by the way?
I'm going to Dallas. I am going to the college football playoff, and we have a little mock selection thing there. So we get to really just fill out, it's for some announcers at ESPN, we get to fill out like the process of what the CFP goes through. So we'll be sitting in the room with Rich Davis, who's the chairman down there, and just really learning about it so I don't look like an idiot on TV when I have to talk about it.
Smart.
Like that.
So you're basically just attending class, right?
It's strategic from their point of view to get the announcers sort of,
I would like to attend an officiating class because yesterday when Denver was penalized and you were texting me, asking me what that penalty was, I know I sent you back my answer, but I was a little uncertain.
Leverage.
I'm like,
What's
wait.
leverage?
I'm like,
Leverage. Leveraging guys, and they were penalized.
I had a question. Like I usually can see it and call it, but I wasn't sure for a second. I'm like, I need to go to officiating class here, but it actually turned out to be a thing a lot of people didn't know. That's what it was.
Use the center to or guard to
can't push to jump.
Push themselves up, and you can't do that. You just can't, and it costs the Broncos the game. All right, everybody. I will see you all on the flippity flop.